yeah, so with this mare, because her energy was all over the place, her insecurities were massive, she hadn't been really particularly well ridden, and she's felt very green, it still does in certain ways. I had to really, I mean, I don't have sort of a high spiky energy anyway, but I had to really drop it down for her. Whoa. So almost like self-hypnosis. I'm walking on, I'm walking on. And again, she's not rushing into this rushy walk. So, yeah, it's all really good. Really good. And if she's looking at something, I just make sure my legs are there. So she's listening to me now. She's saying, well, can I look at that or not look at that? So I'm so pleased with her. Within reason, she feels like a normal horse, and I'm so glad to be able to say that, because there were times when actually, well, to be perfectly frank, she was dangerous. Now, there's still that to work through, but she was dangerous. For instance, on another ride we did, where we'd repeat our steps, and that's why I say, you know, you need to listen to your horse and realise, you know, what's happening, and that's why I say she's not ready. And although I knew that she wasn't ready to do the back and forward stuff, because every time we turned for home, she was just so awful. I just thought, oh, this is stupid, you know, and it can be very effective to ride back and forth when they're too focused on home. And whoa. I'm walking on. Well, there we are, good girl. Yes, it can be very effective. So we're in this big cornfield that before it was, well, it got to so that we couldn't ride in it, and we'd first of all trot all the way to the end, then turn round and trot back. But she gets so, I'm sure you'll know what I mean when I say she gets really bunchy, like she feels she's going to explode. And so, you know, it's best then to let them canter, because it's an outlet and it stops them getting too explosive. So then we'd be cantering back towards home, because she wouldn't trot, certainly wouldn't walk like this. And then I'd turn round and we'd repeat the whole process, but instead of trotting back away from home, I'd say, well, you know, you enjoyed cantering towards home, you wouldn't trot, now we'll canter away from home. And what she would do, both away from home and towards home, she'd stop mid-canter, kind of like swing her back legs. This all happened, in one manoeuvre instantly. You could feel it coming, and then the next minute she did it, she'd swing the back legs left and shoot in reverse. And I mean, she knocked me into a tree. I'm scratched to bits because, you know, a hedge didn't stop her. She just, you know, and she really whacked me into a tree, you know, and then I thought, well, what else is in this mare? You know, what else does she do? What other party tricks has she got? But, I mean, you really can't do anything other than pretend it's not happening and just ride. So, I did sort of ride her out of it on that occasion, and it made me think, well, psychologically she's not ready to do that. She just can't cope, and she's telling me she can't cope, so I'm listening. And so we'll go back to that another time. And I've tried, so now what we've been doing is what we see here today, trotting, cantering all the way to the forest, round the forest, and then she's happy to walk back on a long rein. Okay, yes, it's from A to B, but it's been great for our relationship, and we're getting a relationship. Now, it could all fall apart when we get to the bridle path, because again it's off-road, and I'm only just getting her on the road, really. Oh, here's this mule. I can hear it. I don't mean a real mule, it's like it's like a bit like a quad with a back on it. thing she used to do was shoot backwards out of driveways. When she thought it was time to come out, she'd just back out, and whether the car was there or not. She's not doing that so much now, or at least you can sort of stop her. So yeah, good girl. Oh, here's a car. You learn to regulate your energy. Now, I'm not going to ask her to stand here because I have a feeling she won't. So what I'll do, because they never do when you actually really want them to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here so she's facing away from home. And she says, see what I mean? You see, the minute you actually want them to stand for you, they then decide that they're not going to. And although I could swear my energy, I didn't have any expectation. Now you see, this is where she's got like a crisis of confidence in me. It's like, well, we're facing the wrong direction. Good girl. Good girl. Right. Yeah, so riding those ex-race horses, not necessarily in the school, but out in the forest, where we used to be a big open forest where they could see for miles, and they just used to want to gallop, and then getting them so they go sensibly to a show, some more than others, was a great kind of learning curve for me, because there isn't really anybody, especially then, to show you what approach to take with these horses, and you end up having to figure it out for yourself. So having had a few Welsh cobs as well that were a little bit like that, Bella, I mean, she's not a racehorse, and I'm not pretending she is, but she does have something in common with them. She can be unpredictable. Well, she's becoming less unpredictable, but unpredictable, very forward-thinking, but not necessarily in the most positive way. And whoa, good girl, and walking on, good girl. And will be a test to see if she'll walk through the bridle path. But if she doesn't walk, well, she doesn't walk. See, horses like her, although I'm not wound up, she can get herself wound up at the drop of a hat. Right, here we go. I just suggest to her how I want her to be, but I don't have the reins too restricted, because again, if they're too restricted, it worries them. I have noticed that when I lean forward to go under a tree, she does think it's a go signal, so we haven't overcome that yet. I can't lean forward without her thinking it's go. Oh, we're still walking. Just. It's a fine line between restricting too much and causing the very thing that you don't want, and not restricting enough so they feel unsupported. She's beginning to get a bit worried now. So she thinks, she'd like to jog. Beginning to want to hurry home. I have to duck under here. Oh, she is walking. Oh, that's good. Let the reins out again. She's just waiting her moment to go off. She's not feeling bunchy yet, as if she was I think I'd have to probably trot or canter. But you can see the worry is building in her. But it's all in her mind because nothing's changed. I've still got my energy levels at more or less 0. So I'm not throwing anything into the mix. But I'm still here for her, I'm still supporting her, and depending what she does, I know exactly what I'm going to do. So I have a plan, you know. If she's not bunchy, we'll just carry on like this. If she gets all bunchy, then the best thing to do is let her go more forward. In fact, we might trot up here because it'll be good for her. And she thinks she wants to go, but actually it'd be quite hard work to get up here. A lot of tension in her neck. She's working out whether she can possibly go to canter or not, and I'm saying, well, let's just trot. It's quite hard work. You might very well come back to walk. She says, all right, yeah, I think I will. I think I prefer to walk than have the sort of trot you're asking of me. Well, that's good. So, yeah, quite an anxious walk. But it is a walk. You can see that, you know, it's by no means perfect, but we have made, I feel, you know, good progress with this mare who, I have to say, isn't the easiest of rides. I'm going to ask her to stop down here when we get out of this bridle path, so she doesn't just think she can swing up into the drive. Which is what she'd like to do, and whoa. And whoa. Yeah, she just wants to turn right and go up the drive. And whoa. Right, now you can go up. Okay, good girl. See, she hasn't really gone backwards, so that's a real plus. And she hasn't dragged the reins through my hands once. So all that has to be good. A couple of days ago we were coming up this drive and she got so worked up coming up the drive, she was sort of wanting to canter up the drive. When I wouldn't let her canter, she stopped, swung her quarters round, and backed off to the left, which is, as I say, what she does. And she wouldn't stop, and she just kept reversing, and then she fell down the bank a bit. So yeah, she put herself down there. I don't know if she learnt anything from it. I suppose if she did it often enough she would do. So sitting on what felt like only half a horse, because her legs, half of her legs had disappeared somewhere else. But today she's saying, yeah, I'll walk up the drive. And the walk's gone back to being really steady, whereas before, a few days ago, she wanted to canter up the drive. So the fact that she can walk properly, sensibly up the drive means that in time she'll be able to walk sensibly up the bridle path. But you know, nothing happens overnight. So yes, although she's going a lot better, it's not consistent yet because it's not established. It's just on. We're just sort of taking the steps. No, dear me, it's a log. You've been past that 1,000 times. But because I've got my feet out of the stirrups and I'm sort of not really riding her because I thought she'd just walk home, she thought, oh, I'm not with her, I'll test. She thought, I'll test to see if my rider's with me and I'll look at the log. That's a good girl. That's a good girl. Yes. Well, I don't mind if you stand here. Oh, body shake. Right. And walking on. Well, let's walk right to the end. It's really quite a sort of pivotal moment for them when they realise they can just stop. I think a lot of times horses don't actually think they can stop. They think somehow they're like a hamster on a wheel and they've just got to keep going. Well, thank you, Bella, for a nice ride. Good girl.